morning. You're watching the Channel M Breakfast Show on Friday, the 3rd of April. I'm Michelle Eagleson.
And I'm Phil Trowan. In a few minutes, all the latest sports headlines, plus the latest music events in the Gig Guide. But first, ahead of the Grand National, we're going to be talking to Mark Pearson. Just before that, we've got a viewer in Canada, in Ontario. Bill Luke. Good morning to you, Bill. He says, I live in Timmins, Ontario, Canada, and I just wanted to say I enjoy watching the breakfast show. I watch between 8:33 and 8:48. That's very precise, so I think hopefully we've managed to squeeze in when he watches. I've been visiting family and friends in Manchester for the last 5 years, and I hopefully will be returning this year. So a big good morning to Bill in Ontario.
Oh, fantastic. We've had loads of emails in today. I think we've had a lot of emails in about that question that Phil posed before, because he was very interested in what our first record was, only because Phil's was in black and white days. It was Slade,
yeah,
wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Admit it.
It was Slade, and Come On Feel the Noise.
Mine was Sonia, You'll Never Stop Me From Loving You, For My Sins. And we've also had an email in here from Joshua Jones. Now, he said his very first record was Phil Collins' Studio back in 1985.
Do you remember that? Studio.
And he also said here, and I think this is quite cheeky, actually, good for our Polly. Polly is rather a fox and on fire today. Please make her my regular dose of early morning travel news. Well, thank you very much, Joshua. What about me?
You're still gorgeous. So, first record you ever bought?
Well, as a bookmaker, it was probably Against All Odds by Phil Collins.
Very good.
No, actually, I'm telling you a lie. It actually was By the Miracles and Love Machine. Now, where it went wrong, I don't know. I was only 4 and I bought Love Machine by the Miracles.
I'm
That's
just
true.
a
And
love machine.
Yeah.
And you were only 4?
I was only 4, yes.
That makes me feel old.
1975. Oh, I'm showing my age. I'm actually only 28 in TV years.
I don't think we would have got very good odds, you know, on predicting that. Probably better odds this weekend on the National.
Well, it is the greatest race. I am so excited. It's 4.5 miles, 30 fences. It was first run in 1839. It was actually won by a horse called Lottery, which is quite appropriate. Wow. Now, of course, there's all sorts of stories around the Grand National. Remember Old Daniti and Bob Champion. Remember party politics winning that year, the election year. But the story tomorrow is going to be about 2 gentlemen. Now, I've brought one along with me. This is A.P. McCoy, the champ. Of course, this year he got 3,000 winners. Now, he's never, ever won the Grand National. And he's tried 13 times. He should have won 2 years ago on Clan Royal when he got taken out by another horse. He was going really well on Butler's Cabin last year when that fell. And it's all about A.P. McCoy. He's going for his 14th Grand National. He's never won it. He should be a Sports Personality of the Year in my book. He's an incredible man. I've had dinner with him. He is absolutely dedicated to a sport. He is an absolute champ, yet he's never won the Grand National. Now, he's on Butler's Cabin, which is an 8-to-1 shot. Now, Butler's Cabin, do you know why it's named that?
No.
The Hut at Augusta, where you get your green jacket. And, of course, the Masters are coming up. Tiger Woods' 2-to-1 favourite with Betfred. So he's on Butler's Cabin. Now, the other story is probably Ruby Walsh, who's on My Will, which is a favourite at 7-to-1. Right, now, I know you hear this all the time, but if My Will wins, it's going to be beans on toast in the Pearson household for a long time, right? It's going to cost us an absolute fortune. Because not only is it favourite, not only have the proper punters got stuck into My Will, but, of course, everyone knows a will, don't they?
Yeah.
Ah, right, so we've gone for the names thing again.
Yes, well, the names is so important, which I'll come to. Now, however, I know Mike Bradley thinks My Will's going to win, and it's 7-to-1. Bradders, I'll give you 10-to-1, but only Bradders. Bradders can have 10-to-1 because it's not going to win. No French-bred horse. Yes, Bradders. You can have 10-to-1 for this 5-star scanner appeal, OK? Right, no French-bred horse has won the Grand National for 100 years.
But surely it is anybody's game, the Grand National, because I just either do it with a pin to choose mine, or I choose it by the colours, and that's why this time I've gone for the Fundamentalist, because it's black and orange with nice pretty stars on it.
Do you ever win, though?
I never win, no.
No, you might as well give your pound now.
Well, no, colours is one way of picking them. In my opinion, that way should be banned. You shouldn't be able to pick your horses by picking the colours. Now, if you are going for the colours, there's a horse called Darkness, which has got very nice pink diamonds.
Oh.
Now, interesting story about Darkness. It's owned by Lady Lloyd Webber.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Fantastic.
So that could be singing for its supper.
Yes, very good, very good. That's a bit of an outsider at 20-1. Now, if you're going on names, like we said, we've had My Will. Now, my mother backed Silver Birch 2 years ago on that one because she's got a silver birch in her back garden. And that one at 33-1. Now, people who go on holiday in the southwest of England might go for Cornish set. I think there's a good chance David Beckham will be back in Brooklyn Brownie.
OK, well, listen, we hope it's not beans on toast tomorrow, plus the fact we would never live it down if Mike actually predicted the Grand National winner. So let's just hope that you come out smiling and Mike, well, at 10-1, probably the time the horse will come in on Sunday morning.
Well, you never know. Now, time for your latest news with our James and see what he's got for you.
Good morning. Here are the stories you're waking up to so far this Friday. New rules to restrict takeaways in Bolton have been drawn up. The town's thought to be first to come up with such a policy that restricts how many fast food restaurants can open up. There'll have to be a 50-metre gap between them, and during the day they'll have to keep roller shutters up to stop it looking like a ghost town. A report's found some hospitals' hygiene standards here in Manchester don't come up to scratch. Cleanliness guidelines were drawn up by the government to help crack down on infections, including MRSA, C. diff and Legionella. If the Manchester Primary Care Trust doesn't make improvements, it could face fines or even prosecution. Hopes are increasing that the Christie might be able to get back the £6.5 million it lost in the Icelandic banking collapse. The money, much of which had been donated, was lost when Kaupthing, Singer and Friedlander went under late last year. Now a group of top MPs are recommending charities get compensated for what happened. That'll put more pressure on Gordon Brown to step in after previously saying the central problem was that the money was invested abroad. A man's been charged with attempted murder after a teenager was stabbed in long sight. The 16-year-old's been treated in hospital for several life-threatening stab wounds after the attack at a house on Wednesday afternoon. Adam Alec, who was arrested at the scene, is due before magistrates later. The US president hailing the G20 summit as an historic turning point in trying to tackle the global recession. Barack Obama's been speaking after the world's most powerful leaders agreed a $1 trillion plan to deal with the crisis. It'll be used to try to get countries trading together better. There'll also be tougher regulation of the financial system. Royal Bank of Scotland's directors are bracing themselves for a tough time at their annual general meeting later. It's expected shareholders will criticise their pay and pensions. It'll particularly focus on why the bank's former boss, Sir Fred Goodwin, was still given a £700,000 a year pension after his resignation, despite it needing a massive government bailout. Doormen here in Manchester have organised a vigil to protest at the conditions they have to work in. They're angry at bearing the brunt of after-dark violence. It follows the recent killing of club bouncer Kaleem Rafiq, as Kevin Duffy now reports.
Killing of nightclub doorman Kaleem Rafiq has shocked door workers across the northwest. This weekend, they intend to show just how much, says security company boss Brian McGarry.
So basically what we're doing this weekend is Saturday about 9:30 at the Printworks Manchester. We're going to have a little gathering for Kaleem and obviously, as we like to put it, the Doormen's Association. What it is basically is it's just to take a stand, you know, and let people know, you know, just because they're doormen, you know, you hear the stories, they're not all bullies, we're not gangsters and villains, you know, we're just sat here living like everybody else.
Saturday's vigil is also a chance to voice frustration over the challenges of having to deal with drunk or violent people and, at the same time, make sure that they stay on the right side of both the law and the door security regulatory body.
Other nights where we get people from gang members want to come in quite drunk, maybe on drugs, and they get brave and we refuse them entry, they take it personal.
We don't have the respect which we really demand. It's a hard work. We are in the front line before anybody else.
Well, it's pretty quiet just now in the middle of the evening, but over the course of the next few hours, the city really will explode into life. And once again, doormen and women will find themselves trying to police that very difficult buffer zone between innocent revellers and those individuals intent on causing trouble. I'm Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, this follows a new tribute being paid to Kaleem Rafiq by his family. His mother, Fuzna, has described him as a golden son with a generous heart and a beautiful smile. The 21-year-old was born in Sri Lanka and moved here 10 years ago. That's it from me for this morning. Join me again at 12 noon for the Channel M lunchtime news. And Andy Crane's back here from 5 tonight with all of the day's headlines. Now, though, here's Phil and Mike with the sport.
After those Grand National odds, this could be the man with all the money at the weekend. Mike.
Well, that'll be a first.
A couple of things that are odds on the back page papers, talking about Manchester City today.
Yeah, quite a few rumours circulating this morning. Tottenham are attempting to sign Martin Petrov. We believe the Bulgarian left wing has dropped down the pecking order a little bit, but I'd be surprised if he's one of the few that will leave the club. More likely is Gelson Fernandes, who this morning has said, for the sake of his career, he needs to leave Manchester City, but he's also added it would be difficult to leave the richest club in the world, so maybe got to question his motivation there. And Juan Laporte, the Barcelona president, he said, let's talk about Cesc, baby. He's after Cesc Fabregas for £45 million, which for a 21-year-old is a pretty good statement of intent from Barcelona. I think they could actually get him as well, because Fabregas is refusing to sign a new contract down at Highbury. Crystal Palace, Ipswich and MK Dons are after a good friend of mine, Ricky Lambert, who started his career at Stockport County. The fee there expected to be in the region of £1 million. So a bidding war breaking out for Ricky, one of the nicest guys in football. And Alan Shearer's first task as manager of Newcastle United was to lay down the law, banning his players from all the bars and clubs and pubs in Newcastle. And don't you think third from bottom of the Premiership, they wouldn't have been going there anyway?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
You'd hope so.
Now, we've been talking about the rich end of football there. Grassroots football comes to the fore this weekend.
Yeah, you're talking about the FA Vars, aren't you? Glossop North End against Chalfont St Peter. Semi-final, second leg at Surrey Street in Glossop tomorrow. 1,600 sellout. It's 3-3 from the first leg. The impetus lies with the men from Glossop.
The village, I've been told, is a buzz all week and it's going to be a carnival atmosphere. You don't think of appearing at Wembley at this level as a player or a manager, so it's an opportunity that we can't afford to let slip through our hands, and I don't think they will. We didn't play well down there, so I'm hoping that that's the one incentive they need to put right on Saturday. If we can come out and play well and be positive, I'm sure we'll get the right result. Our league form's been good. We need to get back into that next week. I've just said to the lads, let's get this game out of the way on Saturday and then let's push on in the league, because we're not out of it. You know, if results go our way and we can keep winning, we're in with a great shout there of finishing higher than we've ever finished in this league, and that's been the main aim this season.
And good luck to Glossop North End. More about that on the Greater Manchester Football Show tonight from 7 o'clock. So from grassroots back to the money in football.
Back to the money. Two of the big clubs, City travel to Arsenal tomorrow. 9 games City have gone down to Highbury. They've only taken 1 point from a possible 27. They're looking to improve that tomorrow. A win would take City up to 7th. Arsenal need the points to stay 4th. Mark Hughes knows it's not going to be easy.
They've been open to criticism, more so than possibly in other seasons, but they've come through that. They have the experience of dealing with negative publicity and being able to rise above it and still perform. And they're back in a situation that is of their own making. They've been able to win games and put themselves in a position to exploit if the teams above them slip. And obviously Aston Villa have just had a stumble and Arsenal have been ready to capitalise on that. So they're playing well at the moment, and very difficult game for us.
Good luck to all our teams this weekend. Now let's turn our attention to cricket. 5th one day. Are you bothered, Mike?
5th one-day international in the West Indies. I think it's in St Kitts today. It's 2-2. We've struggled all season long against the West Indians. I don't know why we bothered going out there. Strauss hasn't performed for me. Peterson hasn't performed for me. Khan's come back. He's been rolling like a drunken three-legged dog. Am I bothered? Those are my notes. No, I'm not bothered. Couldn't care less about cricket.
Controversial.
Come on,
from
my
Mike.
will. 10-1. I'm going to be rich on Monday.
Still, think of the Barmy Army. You're going to get a lovely tan there.
Absolutely,
on the final day.
From every negative, look for the positive. Phil.
Exactly.
Good book.
Right, coming up, we've got details of our favourite ginger crooner. Mick Hucknall is back in Manchester very shortly with a gig. We'll hear about that from Jude in just a couple of minutes' time.